What do we fund?
What
Who do we fund?
What do we fund and who do we fund?
Who and what?
Yeah.
The Trans Justice Funding Project, I think, at the root or essentially is about trusting and supporting trans leadership. Trans Justice Funding Project funds grassroots groups and organizations with budgets of $250,000 or under who are established and who are not established. And sometimes it's a group, sometimes it's a project. But it's general operations funding because we feel like the groups know what they need best, so they tell us.
We don't put any restrictions on it. We don't require reporting. We trust these groups to do the work that they say they're doing.
The work that we're doing, everyone in their communities, it's hard work, and LGBTQ communities, they don't get funded.
So we bring people together to do grant making, and this we've only been around a short period of time, so we have a long way to go. But what has happened is we've brought together a really diverse group of people, many who have never sat in the same room, many who have never sat, at the table to make these kinds of decisions. And it is an incredible learning process. As we read through the applications, we learn more about groups and work that's happening around the country that I don't think we otherwise would have known. So in some respect, it's almost like we're able to map trans justice in a way that I haven't seen before.
The Trans Justice Funding Project is seeking to ensure that by giving money to the places that are least likely to fit the bill, to fit the really tight and narrow and binary system of funding, that those are precisely the places that we want to leverage funding at. And as such, we're trying to address the root causes of the way that racism outplays in the world and in the queer movement, and also within trans community. We're also trying to ensure that we are making the trans women in general and trans women of color in particular are being respected and that their voices are being centered. We're trying to ensure that cross-class collaboration is central, and the immigration, that trans folks who are living the reality of what it means to navigate a life where deportation is a frightening and brutalizing reality in our world as trans people, that those two are folks who should get money even as they would not necessarily receive money in other ways.
I'd say something that we really value is that there is no one way trans justice looks. Trans justice looks a lot of different ways. It looks and thrives differently based on your experience, your location. I think what we've learned through reading so many applications over the last couple of years is that for some people that means writing letters to people who are incarcerated, who are trans or gender nonconforming. For some people, it is a support group. That might be the only thing in town, or that might be the most important thing in town, people being able to connect with each other. For some other people, it means policy wins. It means having a network, a trans network around the country. But there is no one way to do it.
We've got lots of strategies. Well, and the beauty of it is that we recognize that people are choosing the strategies that work best for their community, for what's going on,
Absolutely.
Where they are. We don't know what's happening where you are. Tell us what's going on and why that's inspired you to do the work you do. Because when you're doing local funding, it's different everywhere, and people should have the trust from a funder that they can choose the strategies that work for them.
Projects like this that don't just look at deliverables, don't just look at how many people came into the room, but who came into the room, are so critical. And so I personally feel blessed to be in spaces like this where we're funding work that addresses the entire trans community.